hello everyone, and welcome back to She Plays the podcast. I am super excited to be joined today by a fellow Wake alum, the Kate T. Parker, a photographer, just published a book, Play Like a Girl. Thank you so much for joining me today on the pod.
Thanks for having me. Go Deeks.
Go Deeks, that is right. Yeah, I'd love for you just really quickly to tell listeners a little bit about who you are and kind of what you do now, and then we'll hit rewind and chat about sports in your past.
Sure. Obviously starting when I went to Wake, like that's when life starts for anyone. I played actually on the inaugural Wake women's soccer team, and had the first touch because we won the toss, and I was playing center forward at the time, which is where I did not end up. They kept pushing me backwards and backwards. I ended up my senior year like right back.
That's funny.
So played at Wake. Played soccer my whole life. I still play. And then after college, I ended up in Atlanta, worked at CNN for a little bit, and then worked at an ad agency, and then had kids and picked up a camera for the first time and kind of taught myself how to shoot, and I have two daughters, and started shooting them as a kind of how I was as a kid, which was like kind of stubborn and didn't always have my hair brushed and didn't have a cute outfit on. And a lot of the photography I saw of young girls was where they kind of looked perfect and totally put together, and their hair was always done, and they had these like, those little like dresses with like their names stitched on here.
Yeah.
My kids did not look like that. And that's sort of how it started for me. And I started taking pictures of my girls. These pictures, when I saw them all together, I realized that I was shooting to let girls know that this is okay. They don't need to change themselves. They don't need to smile. They don't need to brush their hair. And that is enough for little girls to know that who they are just as they are is plenty. And had an opportunity to do a book and expand sort of what I was just shooting with my girls. It's called Strong as the New Pretty. So that was my first book. And it was funny. I never knew how it was doing, or like, was it selling well, or, but like having the experience of like doing this. So I just had my fourth book come out and realized that was not a usual way that books go. Cause my mom was just asking me this morning, like, how many languages is Strong and the New Pretty in? And I'm like, I think it's like 11. And that's my only book that has been translated into other languages. But that was just my only experience with a book. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's in Spanish and French and Korean and Polish and all these other languages. But I'm so thankful for that I get to combine photography and this passion that I have about allowing our kids to be who they are. So that's kind of what all my work has been about. I also shoot commercially. So I shoot ad campaigns for, like Disney or REI or American Express, things like that, which is, I really love that combination of like getting to do something that's totally kind of my own creative voice, and then trying to bring somebody else's creative voice to life. So I like both of those things together. That's kind of how I started. And now I'm stuck in my basement with my dogs for the last 6 months, but trying to make the best of it.
That's right. That's awesome though. I mean, I love to hear the heart behind it of you can be whatever you want, and like who you are is who you are, how you're dressed is how you're dressed, and celebrate that. I feel like there's still so much in the pro space even of you have to look a certain way. Like we're trying to sell tickets with like sex appeal, and it's like, no, like not that they're not that, but like that's not the point of a game or like of an athlete's performance,
Didn't Becky Sauerbrunn post something about that the other day about like, I think it was Becky that said that they only wanted certain girl, like Kristen Press, and I can't remember who the other one was, in the ads because they thought they were the pretty girls. And you're like, that is one of the amazing things about sport. It doesn't matter what you look like.
Right.
Like, so I don't know that, and she had some perfect like response to it. It was wonderful and really well thought out, but it's just ridiculous that this is still happening today. Yeah. To like some of the best players in the world.
Come on. Becky Sauerbrunn is one of the best players to ever play.
it's also very beautiful. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
right.
it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it's funny because I was watching one of the WNBA games and they mentioned the unitards that Australian basketball used to have to play in Brazil, and it kind of set off this thing on Twitter of like, whose idea was this? It's like a one piece that you're playing basketball in, and someone from the team said, yeah, there were like the thought behind it was it's more attractive, and we're just like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
Ugh, I can't imagine like have to go to the bathroom. What a
Right. Right. Or like how tight. I mean, like that's not. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. But we'll put a picture of the unitard. I mean, it is like
yeah.
how anyone would think like, oh yeah, let's put our athletes in this. But yeah. Anyway, so you did mention. I want to get to like your past history, but you still play soccer. I think you said that.
I do. I still play. I play in a women's league. And I'm always like, come home from the game and I'll ask my family. I'm like, do you want to know? Like, do you want to know how I did? Like, and they're like, no, we don't care. I'm like, well, I scored and I assisted, or like, it's the league. It's so much fun. Like, I'm so sad this weekend I can't play because my kids are playing. So I have to sort of juggle it with like travel and my kids' schedules, because obviously my soccer is no longer the priority. But yeah, so it's really fun. Like there's some women in this league that are literally like totally white ponytail, 60 years old still playing. And I just love that so much because I know they probably didn't grow up playing. And I actually shot some of these women for my Play Like a Girl, the book. And a lot of the women were like, well, I watched my kids grow up and I just thought this game was amazing and I just wanted a chance to play it. And I just like, I admire that heart so much that, you didn't grow up, and soccer is not exactly an easy sport to pick up,
Right.
And it's not like, it's whatever. We're not playing 90 minutes, 80 minutes or whatever. It's not like you can't really fake your way through a soccer game. It's not like, it's not pickleball. I'll say that. Which I love pickleball. I'm not dissing pickleball. But it's just, I don't know. I just really admire these women that are like trying something new and stretching themselves and like wanting to play this game in their 60s. Like, good for them. I think that's cool for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. I feel like, what do you think about sports or about even like a team sport like soccer makes you want to keep playing, and even like for them, like what do you think it is about it?
I mean, I love the team aspect. I love that you can kind of like, I feel like there's so much of life where you're like being polite and being, especially as a woman, you're like trying to make everybody comfortable and you're trying to like not ruffle feathers. And I feel like you cannot do that on a soccer field. You can go out and push women and like go after the ball and shoot and like be not to be a ball hog, but like if you have a shot, you have to take your shot, or that's not being a good teammate. Like, you got to dish the ball off if they have a better shot than you. But I just love that you can kind of be fierce and wild and aggressive and loud and pushy, and that makes you good, and that is like applauded. And I miss that as an adult. I miss that part of sport where you can just go be like fierce and everybody's like, oh my God, this is so good, instead of like, you're a little much right now,
Yeah. Well, I think that's so interesting because it is that weird split of on a field or on a court that's celebrated. But then when you bring that into real life, as I feel like we should, and we should bring that to like the business world. But yeah, we're termed something totally different if we do that.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you're loud and pushy and aggressive.
Yeah.
And then on the field, you're a great forward, like it's,
Right.
and honestly, like, I'm so thankful to the sport of soccer for not softening those sort of hard edges that I have, because I am sure I would have lost those things about myself if they had not been encouraged by coaches, because I'm sure teachers didn't like them. I'm sure they annoyed my parents. I'm sure like my friends thought it was a lot, but because coaches said, you have so much heart out there and you're so, you put so much effort. Then that's the other thing I feel like, and I hear my girls say it, like they'll be like, so-and-so's like a try hard, and that it's a negative thing. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I remember people saying, like, if you cared too much about anything, like off the field, like it's kind of nerdy or it's not cool. But on the field, like you have to care. Like people do not like players that do not care. So it's like one place that you could like fully invest and just like go be free and wild and like just like leave it all out there, because that's what's expected. And I love, especially as I got older and as the teams got more competitive, I felt like, in college was the highest level that and that I feel like that was a stretch, but college was the highest level that I played. But I felt like those girls were the girls that were most like me, because they cared the most about the same thing. We have a deer in the yard. Tobin, hey, they cared the most about the same things that I cared about, and they were not embarrassed or, like it was expected that on a beep test, you were throwing up after. And I never had girls like that. I didn't grow up with girls like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, you all care about this as much as I do. I love this. And like those girls are still, my best friends.
I love it. I love that so much. And you're right, because I do remember, being on a team. If you had a teammate that wasn't trying hard, or like if it was you that day, it was just like you could all feel it. It's like, something's not right. And you had to either hash it out right now and like go keep on playing, or it was an issue. I think that's so neat to be surrounded by that mentality of we're doing whatever we can to accomplish this goal. I love that.
Yeah, and also like off the field, we're like taking that same energy and we're having fun.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great pack of weirdos.
Well, and you mentioned how vital a role of coach is. Do you have a coach that stands out from your past that was like so influential for you?
Yeah, I mean, I really, it's actually Tony DeLuz, he coached me when I was at Wake. He came in my senior year. And just how, honestly, I had not had a coach that I sort of respected that much. I just loved it. He's not a yeller. He's not he just sort of like, I think he has a lot of integrity and respect for his players. And, I really love that. And I think that's like, all of us are still like, I'll still text Tony, about whatever's going on. And I just really think that keeping that relationship with players, I graduated in 98. How long has that been? It's been a long time. So like, it's been a long time that we'll still keep in touch with him. And we all are still slightly afraid of him, which is funny. We're like 44 years old now. And we're like, Tony's not bad, right? He's okay. But I just think that we just respect him so much, and respect the kind of program he runs, and the I don't know, I really feel lucky that I had him, and I wish I had had a longer time being coached by him, but I feel like super thankful to continue that relationship now.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And I mean, it is that moment for, if you've played sports growing up, there usually is at least one person that's still like inspired, like the whole phrase, like I would run through a brick wall for them, like when you have that person in your life pushing you to not only be a better player, but just a better person. It's life-changing. It really is.
Yeah, for sure. And I still have this, like one of my biggest regrets in life was that, so my senior year, I had played in every game at Wake until Tony came. And my first game, my senior year, I sat the whole game. So I had a streak, and I pouted, and I was angry, and I was just like a little baby. And I was like literally, if like my face doesn't really hide anything, and I'm 100% sure I was like this on the bench. And I've like since apologized to Tony. I wish somebody had taken me and shaken me and been like, you're not going to, what you want is to get on that field. This is not going to get you on that field. So like that lesson of like, digging in, working harder, talking to, like, I wish I had talked to Tony. I wish I had, I just wish I had the sort of just the maturity to know, okay, maybe my role right now is to, but I have to, is on the bench. I got to be the best bench player possible, which means I have to cheer. I have to work these starting players out as hard as possible. And like, that's how you get back on the field, like working harder. But honestly, like, I feel like maybe that's the great lesson that I learned that I still use to this day. Like if I, the no's, somebody tells me no now, I'm like so fueled to keep. So like that no doesn't mean a final no. I'm going to try over here. I'm going to try over here and try over here. And maybe if I had gotten, if Tony had given me what I wanted, I wouldn't have learned that lesson, and I still have nightmares that I'm on the bench and like not getting in. And I was like, oh gosh, like, and I didn't realize like maybe, that's, that maybe that's just the lesson I needed to learn. And it took me a long time to learn it, but I'm so thankful for it. And good for Tony for not, like, okay, you need to play. No, that's not going to fly with him.
Yeah. Well, and those life lessons that like it's bigger than just the game. Yeah. I love that. And I think it probably gives you a certain amount of respect. I mean, they're on whatever teams, but especially the women's national soccer team, you think of some of the players that are consistently bench players, but they have to be like ready to go at the times, if someone gets injured or their vital role. I mean, there's probably an appreciation there that some of us miss if we're not thinking of like how hard that role is.
Yeah. I know you think about like Ashlyn Harris is probably one of the top 2 goalkeepers in the world, and she doesn't start. Yeah. And a goalie is not going to see any time, and but when I think about Ashlyn Harris, I don't think of her, I just think of her as like I don't know, for me, I'm just like, I think of all these amazing things she's done and how she stands up and uses her voice. And my first thought is not, oh, she's not the starting keeper, like I think because of the way she carries herself and continually, especially like Ali Krieger got cut from the team and then made her way back. Like, I don't know. I just think that those stories to me are more interesting than the players that, continually start and play and start, like have never had that adversity. And it's so funny because like so I shot a bunch of NWSL players for Play Like a Girl. Mm-hmm. And coming from like, okay, these players were the best of college. So these players would have kicked my butt around, around the field. So in my head, they've made every team, they've started every game, they've never had injury, they've been, they've had a golden life is what my head, that's at my age now, I thought that. And then talking to them, so many of them got cut. So many of them were like stranded without a job and without a team and have, decided to, I remember Haley Kottmeyer is a goalie. She plays in Orlando, right? She's in Orlando.
She did, yeah, yeah.
And she was like, oh, I got cut. And I hired a coach on my own and like worked and then got brought back to a team. I just was like, wait, you did, like, I just didn't, and I think that is such an important message for our girls, because I didn't know it. I thought they had these golden lives, but that they're failing and not making teams and putting in the work, like working on their weaknesses, in addition to working on their strengths. I just thought that was so interesting and sort of illuminating that they're working their asses off. Like,
yeah. When you mentioned I'm sorry,
what? Where did go now? So you said she was at Orlando. Did she go somewhere?
So she's not playing anywhere right now. I think she had planned to go abroad maybe, but she's no longer with Orlando. Sadly, we loved her down there. I mean, I actually got to interview her for our podcast a year ago, and just a great human being. So, and really encouraging. I think she would coach down there. She coached some young players. So
it seems like that's fun. Like so I shot her and Kristen Edmonds and Carson Pickett and Joe Fenema. Well, she had a different name at the time, but she just got married.
Right.
And they were just so kind, and like they were a team and they had fun together. They're messing around with each other and just a great group of girls. Like I was so impressed with them.
Yeah. When you mentioned Ali Krieger, it still gives me chills to think about the journey that she went on. And yeah, at that, also that level of visibility going through that, I think is so powerful for younger people and like fans our ages too, of like, whoa, you're like top of your career. This happens for who knows why. It's just like a personnel preference thing somewhat. That can happen to any of us in any career. What do you do? How do you react? You put your foot down and you get back to work. And I just I could it like
Not done. I love that. Like I love that she was just like, nope.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that, yeah, I feel like she has such a great story, you know, love it.
And the attitude of stay ready, because when the call comes, it's not then time to be ready. It's like get ready, it's time to be ready. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
That's awesome. I need
to
stay ready.
Yeah. And I am a fan. So I went to her adult soccer camp, which every sport, oh my gosh, they were amazing. It felt like I was back. So when I was in high school, I went to soccer camp at Wake Forest. Yeah. And it felt like we had the whole weekend just to like goof around and play soccer and have fun and like learn from Allie Krieger, World Cup champion twice over. But like I've been talking to a couple people too, like how cool it would be to have a basketball adult camp or like ultimate frisbee, lacrosse, hockey.
We have that for guys, like Duke, like they have one of those like men's camps, but like go to with Krzyzewski. But like I'm gonna research this Allie Krieger thing. Like that sounds so much fun.
It was awesome. And like down in Orlando, we got a tour of the stadium and stuff like that. It's cool. A happy hour with her mom.
Yeah, like, hysterical. Oh wow, that's so cool. We need to for sure.
Yeah. No, but it's so cool to like just continually be inspired by people. And now, especially with like social justice issues, like what the WNBA has led the way in has just been unbelievable to witness and be a part of. And that it's just, there's so much about sports that is like core to who we are, not just being healthy or like being competitive, but there's just so much.
I feel like our sports leagues are stepping up in such an amazing way lately. Like I just got a request from Atlanta United, who I am a huge fan of, that was like, hey, would you record something about like getting people out to vote? And I was like, the fact that Atlanta United has an initiative to get people to vote, I'm like, I know why I love you guys. Like that, I mean, it just makes me like, it makes me so happy to see that, you know, and I see like, 'cause, you know, I'm a fan and I see when people like, with that I was telling you about Tony, he was on, you know, Tony at Wake went viral the other day because he kicked a crate and his foot got stuck in the crate. And Tony was wearing a BLM hat. And the comments on the post were all about, well, ha ha ha, look at his hat, like he deserves that, or like what a stupid guy, look at that dumb hat, like, and Tony is like, this is exactly why I wear this hat, you know, which I just think it's so nice for people and coaches who have a platform and who have visibility and who have fans to do the right thing and to speak out and to speak about injustice. And I've never been so much more of a fan of these leagues than I have been when they're doing the right thing. And it just makes you want to get behind them even more.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Well, I do appreciate your time so much. I have a couple of rapid fire questions to end, if that's okay. Okay. Favorite sports movie?
Oh, shoot. Favorite sports movie. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm flaking on this.
There's so many.
I know.
There's like the Ladybugs, like just even soccer movies. We got a whole gamut we could choose from.
Oh, I really do. I love Rudy, which is so, you know, Rudy's really good. I love the underdog.
There you go. Favorite Gatorade flavor?
Oh, red. It was the only thing I could stomach when I was pregnant. And I don't generally like Gatorade, but like red Gatorade got me through my second pregnancy.
There you go. Thank you, Gatorade. All right. Favorite athlete growing up that you like looked up to, and favorite athlete now?
Michelle Akers, growing up, who I got to meet for this book, and I was like so starstruck. She had me. I went to her house.
Very cool.
It was super cool. She did not disappoint. And favorite athlete now, I mean, I love Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah.
She's a badass.
She is. Okay, if you could have tickets to any sporting event that happens in the country, worldwide, you get tickets every time it happens. What are you getting tickets for?
Women's World Cup final. Yeah.
Are
How
you
about you?
going to Australia? Probably same. I just that it's at the peak, either that or the Olympics.
Yeah.
Because what I love is like it's the peak. They've trained for 4 years. I think it's the 4 year thing of like they've worked so hard all their lives, but especially in this time. I just can't even imagine being at one.
US will probably be in it.
Yeah. World Cup, yeah. Are you going to Australia, New Zealand? Is that on your list, maybe?
I mean, if anybody wants me to, I'll come.
I'm I would love to be down there. I think it's going to be a really cool setting, so we'll see. But yeah, well, thanks again so much for coming on and just chatting sports. It's been so fun talking with you, and especially the little weight connection. And is there anything, I mean, that you want to promo? I know we have the book here. Everyone.
The book, but that's about it. It's my love letter to the sport that has been given to me so much. So I'm jealous you're in Winston. I wish I love it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite city. I love it.
It is. It's I grew up here and it's changed so much still from even when I was in college too. But I was passing. I drove by today and saw the team practicing. So next time I'll shout out.
Yeah, like,
great team program.
Hey Tony, have you been to Mission Pizza?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh! So Peyton Smith played soccer at Wake. He's the owner of Mission Pizza. It's I guess on Mission. I don't know. It's downtown Winston somewhere. It is literally the best pizza I've ever had.
Okay.
So his T-shirt is Maradona, and it says Mission. You need to get a T-shirt. It's
no
awesome.
way. Yeah. Okay, I'm definitely doing that.
So good. All the food is so good.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for the tour.
Tell him I sent you.
I will. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks again so much for joining. I really appreciate it.
All right. It was good to talk to you.
You too.